Sixes Monster Mash! Hello, boils and ghouls. Your ghoulish ghost host with the most here, Scott86, with Let's Review the Universal Classic, The Wolfman. Welcome back to Monster Mash, you guys. Scott86 here, and tonight we're going to review one of my most favorite Universal films of all time. Universal's The Wolfman. The movie stars the infamous Claude Rains as Sir John Talbot, the one, the only Bela Lugosi as Bella. Ironically, Evelyn Ankers as Gwen Conliffe, and finally, the star of the entire film, the entire motion picture, the son of Lon Chaney Sr., the man of 1,000 faces, the one, the only Lon Chaney Jr., as the ferocious Wolfman. So when the film actually finally starts, we see Lon Chaney Jr. being driven to Talbot Castle. Okay, so he's up there doing his telescope thing, you know, he's fixing it and everything, and then he, like, all of a sudden, all freakishly, like, peeping Tomishly, if that's even a word,
peeps out his love interest of the film, Gwen. They finally properly meet, and he tells her that he's looking for some particular earrings in the shape of a moon, and she's all like,
"No, sir, we don't have anything like that." And then he, like, persistently proceeds to tell this woman about the ones that he saw in her dresser in her room. And then she's like, "Holy shit, how in the name of fuck did you know that?" But anyways, even after all that shit, he doesn't want to leave without at least buying something, you know, so
he decides to buy a cane. Ironically, he picks the one with the wolf-headed tip. The cane has a wolf and a 5-point star on it, imploring the mark of the Wolfman, or the sign of the werewolf.
And then he's just like, basically like, what in the shit is a werewolf, you know? And she basically just tells him that
it is a person who 7 times out of the year becomes or turns into said werewolf.
And then she recites this strange poem to him. Even a man that's pure in heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and when the autumn moon is bright. She then tells him that the 5-point star appears in the palm of his next victim's hand. And then he asks her out on a date, which she definitely refuses more than one time. And then they see a carriage outside with some fortune tellers in it, and he's all like, "Hey, we should get our fortunes told." And then he still has the balls to be like, "Alright, see you at 8. Okay, so 8 o'clock rolls around, and old Lon Chaney Jr. totally shows up. Miss Jenny Williams is along for the fun too, folks. I'm telling you, Larry Talbot is a pimp. He's got a cane, you know, he's rocking a chick on each arm. He's the man, yeah! Okay, so they come up on the fortune teller's carriage. It just so happens that it happens to be, like, right in the middle of fucking nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It's just in the middle of these woods, and there's these 2 gypsies that are just doing fortune telling out of the carriages, you know. It's really fucking creepy and weird. Solely pretty much only lit by fire and candlelight. In this foggy and dimly lit place, this is where we see the famous
Bela Lugosi for the first time in the film. And let me tell you something here, folks. He definitely kills the role.
And then he continues to say, "Your left hand shows your past, and your right hand shows your future," only to reveal the image of a 5-point star in the palm of her right hand. Holy shit, fuck. So that means that Bella is the Wolfman. Bela Lugosi at his finest since Dracula. I mean, his acting in this one scene alone is utterly amazing. And he just really makes you feel that he's about to just transform right then and there. It's crazy tight. Classic performance indeed. She runs away into the foggy night. I mean, she doesn't really get very far before you hear a wolf somewhere in the distance just howling at the full moon. And then you hear a woman screaming somewhere in the dark. And Jenny is no more. And then Larry just runs up like Superman, you know, Batman ass, trying to save the day, you know. But by the time he gets there, it's just too late for Jenny, you know. She's already been torn to shreds. I mean, he gets the wolf off of her in a sense, but she definitely didn't make this one. Okay, so there's a bit of a struggle, and then, you know, Larry just proceeds to cane the motherfucking thing to death. Okay, so Gwen runs up to check on Larry, really just out of it on the ground, and the only words that he can really just manage to mutter is, "Werewolf!" Then the gypsy woman pulls up in the nick of time and whisks him away back to Talbot Castle. She just kind of tells his dad that the wolf bit him, and then out of nowhere, some crazy dude comes running in and he like informs him that the gypsy Bella and Jenny Williams have been murdered. Larry left the cane at the scene. You remember the wolfbane cane? And apparently the gypsy had been bludgeoned to death with an unknown object. Okay, so the detective comes in, and along with the doctor, the detective basically comes to the castle to question Larry about the cane being at the crime scene. You know, he's just kind of curious of why Larry's cane would have been near the dead bodies. And then Larry tells him that he killed a wolf with the cane. And then Larry says, you know, he's kind of a little agitated at this point. He's like, "I only saw a wolf. He bit me." And then when he retries to show the officer and the doctor his chest, where the supposed wolf bit him there's like nothing there, you know, not even a scratch. Basically, they just all leave the room and just kind of leave Larry to just kind of sit there, you know, and marinate with his thoughts. I feel so bad for Larry at this point. Okay, so he goes to the gypsy woman to kind of, I guess he's seeking some kind of advice, you know, as into what's going on, you know, what happened to him, or what's happening to him. She then tells him that he killed her son Bella. Bella became the wolf, and then he killed him. And then she tells him that the only sure way to kill a werewolf is with a silver bullet, or a silver knife, or a stick with a silver handle. She tries to give him this necklace that she says can apparently cure the curse of werewolfism. You know how Larry is, you know Larry Talbot, he thinks she's crazy, you know, and refuses it. There's no such thing, you know. Okay, so he's about to leave, he's about to walk out and walk away from this woman. She basically like tells him before he leaves, you know, whoever's bitten by a werewolf and survives becomes a werewolf himself. Now he's kind of freaked out, you know, so he takes the necklace, the charm or whatever, and he leaves. Okay, so after he tells Gwen that the gypsy woman basically told him that he is the new werewolf, he gives her the charm to protect her from him. We cut back to Larry, and he's just pacing back and forth around his room. He can sense that it's about to happen any minute now, and then he will become the werewolf that he knows truly deep down that he really is. He sits down, and the transformation begins. Well, it's only really a pair of feet, just getting hairier and hairier. Basically, just a bunch of still shots. After adding more and more hair each time, it was very innovative for its time. Very, very cleverly done. Very effective camera work for a film that came out in the 40s, you know what I'm saying? It was basically just a bunch of hair and a shitload of crossfading going on. Definitely a very classic and iconic movie moment. This next scene coming up is the most iconic scene in the entire film to me, or it's the most nostalgic and the most memorable scene of the movie The Wolfman. When Larry, as the werewolf, is just walking, you know, just strolling through that foggy forest. He's got the fog around his ankles, and he's just like, you know what I'm saying? He's grunting and everything. It's great. And it's also the scene in which the werewolf, or the Wolfman, makes his first kill in the movie. Just some lonely gravedigger. You know, he's just at a graveyard, just doing his job. Somewhere in the night, he hears a wolf howling at the moon. And then we all know what happens next. So the Wolfman comes up on this guy. You know, he basically does not stand a chance, not one single chance in hell, against Larry as the Wolfman. Like, he rips this dude a new asshole, and then he just, like, runs off into the night. I remember seeing this movie as a kid and thinking, I love this. The Wolfman is a badass. I just remember being a kid and just being completely blown away by its awesomeness.
Sixes Monster Mash!